What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, or should I say, we are Tottenham on tour here today.
Yes.
The
What's up,
Tottenham
people?
on tour boys here, Brian and Brian. How you doing, guys?
Doing wonderful, mate. Doing really well. Having a good day. Getting a lot done with Brian here, and looking forward to the game at the weekend. Another game. I'm just jonesing for the season, so this Roma game is going to be a ton of fun. I think like Jose Mourinho. I'm sure we'll get into it, but very excited.
Yeah, and I'm feeling as great and as loud as my shirt. So this is actually Tottenham's away kit. This is the third kit. It's a premiere.
So you're saying, Brian Daigle, you're saying your mood is very much reflecting your shirt, or your shirt is very much reflecting your mood today.
Well, that's one of those chicken and egg moments, really, isn't it? So we shall see. Either way, it's loud.
Happy days. Shame you're not in Israel this weekend, because we could do with a few loud fans there. But let's get into it, because this is a Tottenham update, because a bit of news has broken tonight. So I thought I call in the big shots of Tottenham on tour and see what they have to think about the news happening today. The first one that we're going to talk about is Sergio Reguilón. As Tier 1 Barcelona source Gerard Romero says that Barcelona plans to launch an exchange offer for Sergio Reguilón. Some of the rumours surrounding that saying Memphis Depay could be one of the players that they're looking to offer us for a Sergio Reguilón. I'll start with you, Brian Ireland. What's your opinions on Reguilón going to Barcelona and potentially Memphis Depay coming the other way?
I'd be happy with him going to Barcelona. I mean, obviously he's not well, I would say welcome, but he's not something that he's not a player Conte wants to use. The Depay coming the other way part for me is a little bit of an odd one. He's already said he doesn't want to come to Tottenham. Obviously he's worried about game time, which with our forward line currently, he probably wouldn't get a ton of it. It's the one direction. Certainly the exchange I'm not a fan of. I don't necessarily think that benefits us a ton.
There's also a few rumors floating about, nothing concrete or anything, that Frankie de Jong could be a player that could be up for negotiation as well.
Come to us instead of United, or is that a
Sorry, say that again?
Instead of United, is that because that would be glorious?
Well, apparently he doesn't want to go to United. I mean, he's literally chaining himself to the goalpost at Barcelona. He doesn't want to go to Barcelona. Maybe he wants Champions League football. Maybe a Conte and a Champions League football could be something to sway him. How are you looking at this, Daigle?
So first of all, you know my feelings on Reguilón. I've said it for a while on your show, and any show I go on, I just don't think it works out. He's a left back, not a left wing back. I'm actually, obviously the rumours are gathering pace with Barca. I'm surprised Real Madrid are allowing it. I thought Real Madrid might actually buy him back with the buyback clause and try and sell him elsewhere. I'm not keen on Depay, but Frankie de Jong. I tell you what, you take Eriksen, United.
Yeah,
we'll take the one you wanted.
We'll take the upgrade. Thank you very much.
When you're talking about a Cam and a guy that could change games, that is an exchange deal that I would be very, very happy to do. And let's hope it's him more than Depay. And Depay, I think, as well, he's known for having a bit of a diva attitude, hasn't he? So and injuries. He
had that at United, right? He was
exactly
kind of
the last thing we need.
But he was very young at United. People always go back to United and say, like, oh, he's not going to work in the Premier League. He's already flopped in the Premier League. But the way I look at it, he was very young at United. He got his first move out of Holland, went to United at 20 years old, something like that, 19 years old. And since he left the United, though, he's gone to the French League, albeit it is the French League, completely smashed it up, and gone to Barcelona, got his big move to Barcelona, and he hasn't done too badly. He's done fairly well at Barcelona, but injuries have kind of followed him around everywhere he's gone. I think that's the sticking point for me on Memphis, is the injuries.
Injuries, and I'd be curious where he's going to play too. I mean, we brought in Richarlison, who plays in that front three, plays arguably in the, from the left side. Generally speaking, we'll probably rotate with Kulusevski on the right, but. I would be. It was just surprised for me. It doesn't seem like if you're bringing in another big player, we don't really need one in that position. We need one that, like a Frankie de Jong in that attacking midfield position, or a center half that's gonna fill in when Dyer's unavailable or needs a rotation. So let's get with those positions first, please.
Could Longley be making some calls here?
Could Get on the horn.
Could he have a factor in this? Who knows?
Yeah,
who knows? But I think that. What you were saying before in terms of I'll be surprised, or you'd be surprised if Real Madrid would let this happen, but maybe that just signals how much they actually value him and actually worth it. Think how good he actually is.
Yep, I
think that's spot on.
I think you're right there, Ben. We like I said, we spoke about it. If we were playing a back four, I think he would be first choice. Obviously, Perisic now, but I mean, out of him and Sessegnon. And for me, since he got caught with Lamela and Lo Celso that Christmas, his injuries have been very frequent. His form has been up and down, and there's just not something right there. So I think it's best that he goes, and wherever he goes, I wish him well. But yeah, please, Frankie de Jong.
Yeah, let's get that sorted, please.
That's it. 3 times like Beetlejuice, he might appear.
And in terms of Barcelona, I mean, they're doing kind of God's work at the moment.
They're
taking away all
scenario,
Chelsea targets, picking off Chelsea targets one by one.
Yeah, I love it.
And now they're, looking to take Reguilon off us. So happy days. I mean,
completely.
I think in my personal opinion, when I'm looking at a swap deal, I think I would prefer just to take the straight up cash for Sergio Reguilon. I mean, I do have a few reservations about Frankie de Jong as well. I know he's a top quality player. I'm not saying he's not. But when he was linked with Man United, I was kind of thinking, is he too lightweight for the Premier League? Is he going to come into the Premier League and hit the ground running? I've got a few reservations about that. But if we were seriously linked with him and he was about to come through the door, I'm sure my opinions would dramatically change.
It would change very quickly. I would say on that note in particular, I think because he'd be playing at the top of a diamond 3 in a midfield with a midfield 3-5-2 scenario, that size wouldn't necessarily come into play as much. If you think of players like Coutinho and other players Luka Modric, who were a bit slighter, a bit smaller, I'd actually think it probably suits him from a playmaker perspective. And he would have destroyers around him, and a Basuma and Højbjerg or Bentancur, whoever else is around him.
Good point.
The physicality would be there, and he'd still be able to do what he wants, which I think would be really, really, really positive to have a player that could do that. The way what he's capable of, such a good player.
Well said, sir. Well said.
Completely agree. But let us know your opinions in the comment section below. Would you like to see Reguilon go to Barcelona? And if so, would you like to see Memphis Depay in return? Or maybe even a potentially Frankie de Jong? Sorry, what did you say, Mr. Ireland?
I just yelled Frankie de Jong. It's just to interrupt the part about Memphis Depay.
Yep. Let's move on to the next topic, because we talk about Lucas Paquetá of Lyon and L'Equipe, a French publication, saying that Tottenham had a €40 million offer for Paquetá rejected in January. Spurs and Man City are the most credible options this summer for the player, who isn't particularly interested in Newcastle or Arsenal. So there's a player that's
I like him already.
I like him already. He doesn't fancy Arsenal, and Spurs and Man City are more credible options. Do you guys know much about the player, and would you like to see him through at Spurs?
So didn't know a lot about him. Obviously, didn't know about him in January at all. But hey, I didn't really know a lot about Bentancur and Kulusevski, and look how that one worked out. Again, I think I had this discussion with you as well, Ben. With this position, I think this is where I really want someone with Premiership experience. I'd rather spend the extra money on, let's say, a Maddison, as he's the one that's grabbing all the limelight. I know there's rumours that there's no interest or what's going on, but I think this is a position that we have to get right. We have to get right, and I'd rather spend that extra money on someone, not necessarily English, but Premier League proven, that can come in and do the job, as opposed to someone that's coming again from the French league. With no disrespect, we haven't had the best of return from there, but he looks, from what I've seen, a very exciting player. But if I had the choice, him and Maddison, I would say Maddison.
Interesting. Brian Ireland?
Yeah, it's hard to. I mean, I'm the same as Brian. I don't know a ton about him, and starting to get to know him because of the rumors that are happening. I agree. I think, despite we just talked about Frankie de Jong coming, he doesn't have any Premier League experience, but the stature of that player and what he would bring, I think, he's at Barcelona. He's played in the Champions League. He's got the level. But there's too much unknown there for me. I would rather see some known in some capacity, whether it's Champions League football or Premier League experience, that would make me a little bit more excited about it. Having said that, again, if it's a Conte choice and he's likes the player and thinks he's going to fit into his system, who are we to argue, really? I mean, yeah. I'm gonna support it because that's what he's decided to do. But just from what I've seen, I would rather, like Brian said, somebody that we know have a known quantity rather than an unknown quantity.
Does it change your opinion at all that the likes of Man City and Arsenal are sniffing around for him and interested in him? Does that change your opinion at all, if of how much you kind of value the player and if you would like to see him through the door?
I think it's a good question. I probably a little bit. I think the fact that we're in that conversation with those teams makes me a little bit happier, because it shows kind of where we're at. You know, where that the players are looking to go somewhere. If it is in England in particular, we're in that conversation of the top teams. So it helps certainly, because they're probably doing their due diligence to determine the players they want to bring in, and if they think he's a good player and they're looking at it. It does a little bit. Again, I'm very skeptical about a lot of these rumors, so I would rather just see more about what their interest is. Have they laid out an offer, or is it more just rumors to stir the pot, which is it often is. But yeah, it does a little bit. I'd have to be honest, a touch.
Well, I'll add to that. Do you know what? Each one of those teams, the Filth, Man City, Newcastle, they're all different styles of play compared to what we play. So
yeah, that's true.
It may fit into what Man City want. It may fit into what Newcastle and the other lot down the road are doing, but that doesn't mean, obviously, we play a completely different
system
style of football. Yeah. So it's good to hear that those kind of clubs are interested, but when you look at it, does he fit into a Conte system? That's the question for me. And if he does, then hell yes. If he's not, then obviously go anywhere but the Filth.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess that's for Paratici and Conte to decide. And if they do want to go for the player and pursue the player, then I think it would be a very good option to go for. But having said that, I'm always wary about these players coming out of Lyon. You've had Hossam Aouar through the years, who was heavily linked with Arsenal and Spurs. He fell off the rails the next year. Tanguy Ndombele, everyone knows what's happened with him.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's been other players throughout the years. I mean, Alexandre Lacazette, he was scoring 30, 35 goals for him in France for Lyon before he joined Arsenal. And everyone knows what happened to him at Arsenal. So I'm very wary of these players coming out of Lyon.
I think out of France in general too, Ben. From the perspective of that league, I would rather see a championship player come through, having done really well in England already, is already climatized, than bringing a player through a French league that they have to get ready to get prepared for the league, the language difference, get used to the culture, all those different things that players have to go through. For me, I just think it's the wrong place to look right now for players, unless there's one that's like I don't know, Mbappe or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Like
unless his name is Ashraf Hakimi.
Yeah, Hakimi. You know those players. If they play for PSG, okay, let's talk about it. But the rest of them, it's bush league. Sorry if that's inappropriate, but yeah.
You don't want any more Nkudus and Ngis.
No, yeah, exactly.
Or Benjamin Stambouli. Benjamin Stambouli.
Yeah. I'm sure there has been some successful signings we've made from the French league. Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
Hugo
Lloris. Yeah. Lloris. I mean, he was from Lyon as well, wasn't he?
Well, I mean, and Lucas Moura was from PSG as well. But again, PSG from the French league too. So there have been good players, but it is, as soon as you get a little bit lower that top rung, you're risking a lot, I think.
Fair enough. Let's move on and let's talk about the last story of the day, and it's about Dane Scarlett, Dane Bappe as David calls him. And Dane Scarlett has joined League One side Portsmouth on loan for the 22-23 season, and I think it's an absolutely brilliant loan deal for Dane Scarlett.
Fantastic.
The Portsmouth manager has been quoted by saying, we're delighted to have Dane with us, and we're really appreciative of Tottenham for trusting us to look after one of their young players. Dane has an infectious energy, and I know the staff at both Tottenham and the England setup think the world of him. Ali Gold has gone on to say that hopefully he's going to see a lot of minutes there. The boy is going to turn out to be an absolute star. And I, for one, are going to be following Portsmouth very closely now next season. Portsmouth are a team that do play attacking football. They finished 10th in League One last season, about 10 points off the playoffs, but they are expected to do a lot better than that. Usually in League One, they should be pushing for promotion next season. So I think it's a brilliant loan deal. How are you seeing this for Dane and his development? Let's start with you, Daigle.
So I'm a huge fan of Dane Scarlett. I remember having discussions again where I said I think
Dane Bappe, please.
Dane Bappe. My bad. Where I think his career is kind of similar to Michael Owen, where he can be something very, very special in the near future. And Portsmouth are a wonderful, wonderful football club. Even their time in the Premiership, you saw their fans, how lively and boisterous they are. It's a great
with the hat and everything. And
it's a great footballing city. And I think people like Holly and Simon now will be able to go see him at very, very close quarters. But I think it's a great move. And I hope for something like my boy Alfie Devine gets a club like this in League One where they can really go and earn their football education and get real minutes under their belt. And who's the current manager, Ben, at Portsmouth? Do you know?
Yeah, I do know. I just forgot for a second. I'll find out. If you keep talking, I'll let you
know. I just think, you know what? Having him sitting on the bench or being around it, there's no substitute for minutes and getting real games.
Danny Cowley.
Okay. Oh, well, that was the guy that managed the non-league team that did well in the FA Cup a few years ago, I think.
Could be.
But yes, so him going and getting regular first-team football is going to be beneficial for Tottenham and his development. And also England. Let's face it, he's just won a Euros in Israel, funnily enough. So, yeah, I think this is a wonderful move for him. And I wish Dane Mbappe the very best at Portsmouth, and we'll keep a close eye on him.
Right, yeah, just to add to that, I mean, hard to add more to it, but I'd like to see this type of loan from our young players, for our young players to get an opportunity to play a ton of football in England and to sort of grow. I mean, we saw what happened with Harry Kane. I mean, he's the prime example of it. This is an example of the Norwich loan, of the Leicester loan, of the things that made him a better man and a better player. And, you know, you have to go through that, being away from home, a little less comfortable than what you're used to, and you have to work harder. And I think that mentality is maybe something at his age he hasn't been able to sort of get into and get an opportunity to learn. So I think this type of loan, it's close enough to London. He's not too far away from his family and stuff. And yeah, I think he'll come out of it a much better player and a much better man. And I think physically he'll grow into himself through that loan. And I think we'll see a different player when he comes back.
I've just noted one thing as well, which I think Jermaine Defoe may be keeping an eye on him. Obviously, he went to Portsmouth.
Yep.
And
yeah, it could be his decision even.
It could be. I'm sure Defoe's got a wonderful relationship with Portsmouth, and who knows, he may be going down there and checking him out a hell of a lot with him doing his coaching badges. Hopefully, that'll get signed, sealed, delivered. But yeah, and then he comes back to Tottenham and learns off Jermaine. I mean, it's win-win, isn't it?
Yeah. It really is. And you know, Dane Scarlett, 18 years of age, going to League One. If he smashes it out in League One, are you looking to bring him back for next season, or do you think another loan and maybe a level higher, maybe in the Championship next season?
I think how much he smashes it out will determine it. And I think also, like I was just talking about his growth. I think how much more physical attributes has he changed? Has he gotten bigger? Is he stronger? Is he hitting the gym as much as you'd like to see? And does that apply well to being in the Premier League, or is it still a little bit more? Maybe one more, maybe half a season loan even until January, depending on what we might need that season. So yeah, I could see both depending on his physicality when he comes back from it.
You've missed out one thing, and I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think what we're going to see is a carbon copy of what's happening with Troy Parrott. Parrott will have his loan at Preston this year, come back and probably be left with the squad, whereas if Dane smashes it, which we believe he will and has the ability to, maybe it will be another Championship team.
Yeah, it could be.
And then, but listen, I actually think that Dane Scarlett will end up being a lot better than Troy Parrott. I love Dane Scarlett, and but I think it might be the step up kind of.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I think it will depend on his physical stature because he is a slight player. When you see him out there with the men, you know, he just doesn't have the physicality that you need in the Premier League. Now, you need that in the Championship too. So it could be right that could be the thing that gets him there even further and getting into, because Championship is a very physical league. So yeah, either one could happen, but really good loan for him. Happy to see it and looking forward to watching his goals because he's going to score a lot in that league.
What do you think?
I hope so. Yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing for this loan. I mean, I can't wait to watch him because I think Portsmouth are a team where, you know, they shouldn't really be in League One. Let's be honest. They should be in the Championship, or they should be even in the Premier League, a team like Portsmouth. So for him to go there, if he goes there and does well next season, he's going to get a lot of recognition. And I think he's going to get the recognition that he deserves. So I think it's a really good loan move. Like I said, I'm going to be keeping a very, very close eye on Portsmouth next season. I'm hoping he can get at least 15 goals or something. If you get 15 goals for someone like Scarlett, 18 years of age, I think that's an unbelievable return. I really do.
Absolutely.
So big up to Dane Scarlett. Just picture this in about 4 years' time, 3-4 years' time. Conte's still the manager, 3-5-2 system. Dane Scarlett and Troy Parrott up front, supported by Alfie Devine. Harry Kane's still got to be around. So
he's still on the team.
Yeah, we got to say Harry Kane's still around. So them two still in and around. Maybe Troy Parrott and Harry Kane up top. Well, we need Sonny.
and Kulu.
Yeah,
and Richard.
You know what? Forget everything I just said. Just forget everything I said. Imagine 10 years' time. 10 years' time. Yeah. Troy Parrott and Dane Scarlett up front, supported by Alfie Devine.
Oh, love it. Love it.
Mate, I mean, it looks like as well we do have a real good crop of youngsters finally coming through. Like there's been a bit of a gap, like Ollie Skip, but people will know.
And Ollie Skip captain, by the way.
Yeah. Then, I mean, look at that. Then Lavinia, you start Malachi Walcott, all these people, but obviously people know what I think about Alfie Devine, and just that three. Troy Parrott, Devine, Scarlett. My God, what a wonderful time to be a Spurs fan.
The future's bright, guys. The future's lily white.
Exactly. So I think that's it for today, guys. Tottenham on tour. Tell us what is happening on your channel, guys, and everyone go subscribe to them, by the way.
So so we'll be releasing a show, our first Everywhere You Go, in about an hour and a half's time. That would be with Spurs Israel, and I've mentioned it before on your show. There's a very special show we're recording tomorrow. Whether we get it out tomorrow or it'll be out first thing Friday, let's just say it's going to be an eventful day for Tottenham on tour tomorrow.
Yeah, it happened again. Let's just say that.
It's happened again.
It's happened again. Brian's been stupid. It's happened again.
This Brian, by the way, just an FYI.
It will happen again. It will happen again.
Yeah, we'll figure out something to bet on. It'll happen again for sure. But yeah, lots going on the channel. Yeah, thanks, Ben. Thanks for having us. Lots going on the channel. Really excited about this season and supporting you guys as well. We got a Friday night show coming up, the late Spurs show on this channel. So tune into that. August 5th is the first episode. We'll be live on We Are Tottenham TV, which we're really excited about, in a new studio, which we're also very excited about. So lots going on and very, very, very pumped.
And on that first Friday night show, you can also sing It's Happened Again, because Arsenal will be playing Crystal Palace that day. So we'll see what happens there. But,
there we go.
Now, everyone, go and subscribe to Tottenham on Tour. Absolutely amazing, amazing channel. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on,
you Spurs.